How's everyone doing? Welcome back to the channel. So today I want to talk about my parents getting divorced when I was young and how I dealt with the whole process. But it's kind of a spider web of a whole bunch of different parts and different people, different houses, um, whole bunch of just different emotions, you know. So currently I'm currently I'm 40 years old. I This house I live in now is the 10th place that I've moved to. So from 0 to 40, or 1, I guess, however you count it, I've moved 10 times. So basically every 4 to 5 years, give or take. I've lived in this house the longest I've lived anywhere, which is 12 years. So, but going back to my mom and dad, I when I was young, I guess my dad came into my life when I was probably 5 or 6. But when I was that age, I don't think I knew that back then. So he came to my life. You know, we did some stuff together. But my parents got divorced when I was probably like 11. So my dad wasn't in my life for a long time as a kid. He's in my life now. I see him once or twice a year. You know, he's in a different state, so we gotta drive up there. Um, Mainly like in the spring and summer, sometimes the fall, to see him. My mom, my mom still lives here where I do, but I don't see her very often either. But so they got married, they got divorced. Before they got divorced, my seventh, um, seventh, eighth birthday, maybe. Um, Before they got divorced, it was basically all my family there because I was having a birthday party, and there was a guy, his wife, and their daughter there that I didn't recognize. And my mom introduced me to them as Bob. This is your biological dad, his wife, and this is your half sister. So my mom and Bob got together in high school. She had me at 17 or 18 years old, somewhere in there. So she had triplets. I was one of 3. The other 2 unfortunately didn't make it. So I guess their relationship didn't work out. They never got married, but he remarried someone else and had a daughter. So she's my half sister. And I met them at this birthday party, and when she said, "This is your dad, or biological dad," I didn't know what to think. Because I thought the man that was raising me this whole time, well, I still look at him as my dad, but when she said biological dad, it was kind of weird. I didn't know how to take it. I don't think I even really processed it. It was more of a, all right, that's kind of, that's cool. There was no like sinking in. There was no like deep thought. Um. So once my mom and dad got divorced, my mom started hanging out or dating this other guy that she was with for 8 years. And throughout the time, we moved a few times here and there, different parts around town, different houses. And I remember going to my biological dad's house. Started going there when I was probably maybe 10 or 11, I guess, like every Saturday, just to hang out. But him and I didn't have a relationship at all, basically. And I called him by his first name, Bob. I didn't call him by dad because he, to me, wasn't my dad. So when I went over there, pretty much every Saturday for a while, as soon as I walked in, he was always reading the newspaper, and he would say, "Your sister's upstairs. Go see her." Every Saturday. Every time I came over, he was in his recliner, cigarette in the ashtray, and a newspaper. Hold up, read it. Just, your sister's upstairs. That's where she's at. Basically saying, don't bother me, you know. So going over there for, I'd say, 3 years maybe, every other Saturday, every Saturday, however it worked out. You know, I don't think it was every month. There was one time I went over there to hang out with him on a Saturday, and I looked and nobody entered the door, so I looked in the window, and there was no furniture in the house. They had up and moved, phones off, you know. I guess at that time they didn't have any cell phones, so they had, you know, of course, no landline. So I didn't know where they went. They just disappeared. So it wasn't until, see, I was probably 12 or 13. So it wasn't until I was 18 that my grandmother got a call from somebody in his family telling me that he had passed away. They would have liked to come to the funeral. I declined and said no. I asked how far away it was because I didn't know where he was, and they said it was 6 hours from here. And I just declined it because there was no physical emotion there. You know, I appreciated the time with my half sister that I got to be with her in person. You know, she's still alive, but getting to know her as a person for what, 3 years maybe, off and on. But there was no, him and I never did anything together. We never really like talked. We never hung out. He never came to pick me up. And you know, I guess, you know, my sister at one point towards the end before they moved said, you know, your dad doesn't really talk to you because he feels the only reason you're in his life now is because your mom wants child support. And obviously that was not the case. She didn't want the money. It wasn't about that. So they moved away. He passed away. Going back to like 14 or 15, the townhouse that we were living at, my grandfather moved in because he was diagnosed with cancer. So he had moved in. So between 15 to about 20, maybe 19, he was probably the only father figure I had. And I don't think he really wanted that role, but he was the only one that like helped me fix stuff. He helped me learn things. He helped me just become a person, basically. You know, I think his death, out of any of my family members, was probably just like one of the hardest. You know, because he didn't want nothing out of life. He lived on bare minimum. He lived on, you know, what he could get by with. If he had one shirt and one pair of pants for a whole year, he was content with that. He was like, that's all I need. I don't need a wardrobe. I don't need all this stuff. I don't need a TV. It was very simple, you know. very simple person. I appreciate that. Um, so when my mom and dad got divorced, um, my dad got remarried to somebody here. They were married for a couple years, and then he moved back to West Virginia. That's why I don't see him very often. And then he got remarried to the wife he's married to now. My mom was dating the guy for 8 years. They never got married. They eventually broke up because that was a toxic relationship. Not physical abuse, but like mental abuse. Um, Getting yelled at every few days, making you feel like you're less than what you are. And obviously you can hear it in the house. The house, um, two levels, 2 bedrooms upstairs, 1 bedroom downstairs. So it was a small, like 1,200 square foot house. It was a tiny house. So no matter what was said or what was thrown or what was, going on, you could basically hear it. So obviously I could hear a lot going on that wasn't talked about. But my mom got enough courage to kick him out. I know my family was happy because they didn't care for him. Sometimes you could tell people, hey, this person isn't right for you. They're not leading you in the right direction. But if your mind is full of love or denial or whatever you're seeing in your eyes, you can't understand what other people are telling you. You have to see for yourself. And I think sometimes that takes a while to kick in. So when they split up, the guy across the street from my mom, which was actually an awesome guy, I wish he was still around. He passed away too, but him and my mom started dating after that, and a few years later, maybe a year later, they got married. And this whole time, like I said, I've moved around 10 times. So we've moved around pretty much all the state. Basically, well, not the whole state, but different counties of the state, And it's hard to collect things and all that when you move so much. You always end up throwing stuff away. And he was in my life for maybe 6 years, maybe before he passed. And then, not even 6 months to a year later, my mom got remarried to the husband she's married to now. So I don't think she wants to be alone. I don't think she can be alone. The only time that her and I really had a great time together was right before summer. Her and Ben, the guy she was with for 8 years, they finally split up. So my mom and I basically hung out in the summer, went to the beach, took airplane rides, basically just had a good relationship for that summer. And it wasn't, it wasn't until like school or maybe middle of winter, her and John, the guy she was married to across the street, got together. And then once, not that she pushed me aside because I'm still her son, but the focus became on someone else, and having these different people, life is hard. So once John passed, like I said, she married this other guy within 6 months to a year that she's married to now. So having all those different guys in your life is hard, in and out. different relationships, and even having your dad married to two of the different people, it makes it hard to want to build relationships with people. It makes it hard to want to put the time in to get to know people, get to appreciate all the people around you. You know, so there's like a wall that's put up constantly, a lot. I noticed it in friends. I noticed it at work. You know, when I first started working where I do now. The first year I was learning everybody's name. There's like over 300 employees that work there. I'm learning everybody's name, learning like where they sit. Just being nice to people, just talking, communicate. Just being friendly. But after a year, and 50 to 60 of those people quit, and another 50 or 60 people get hired. You kind of think to yourself like, well, what's the point of putting time into these um, acquaintances, or I don't even call them friendships or nothing like that, but the energy into it, because they're just gonna leave again. You know, um, it's kind of a weird way of thinking like that, because I try to like everybody. Um, you know, not only just dealing with the people in and out of your life. My mom worked two jobs for most of my life, and I was pretty much raised by my mom when she was home and my grandmother. So I don't know if that contributes to my shyness or my quietness or my, you know, um, just way, just way of being me. Um, there's there was no real dad role model to, if you got hurt, um, if you need to take something apart or whatever, just hey kids, suck it up and deal with it, or whatever normal dads do. Um, Kind of like you're a man, suck it up kind of attitude. You know what I mean? Um, I think it definitely, mentally maybe affected me. Not physically. I wasn't abused, or I don't think I was yelled at as a kid. My childhood wasn't really bad. Wasn't really bad per se. You know. Um, but being on this channel, seeing the people in this channel talk about their lives and talk about their experiences in life, definitely helps me talk about myself and my experiences. You know, because it's not something I normally do. I normally wouldn't make a 20-minute video just talking about me. If you asked me 3 years ago, would I make a YouTube video? Would I make a YouTube channel about inspiring people in my life and whatever I talk about? I would say no. There's no way. I'm not getting on camera and showing it to the world. Um, it just wouldn't. It just wouldn't happen. And even the other channel I have, I don't even do that. I did make a 20-minute video on building a plumbing business a couple days ago, which was kind of interesting because people appreciated that. But I wouldn't have got that far without the support or feeling comfortable on this channel. You know, um, I think I was told to make this channel for a reason. Um, I was thinking about that today, like why I made this channel. You know, and I'll probably make another video on that. But yeah, growing up with 4 or 5 guys in your life, in and out, people dying every few years, not really making friends growing up. I I was pretty much a quiet kid. I remember going to like one of those parent teacher conferences, like in September October when you have your first one, to see how your kids doing. And we were sitting there about talking about math questions or something, whatever the subject was, and my mom asked me a question and I answered it, and the look on the teacher's face was like priceless. I don't know what they're doing up there, but it was priceless because she even said, "I didn't think your son could talk because he hadn't said two words this whole month or this whole 2 months or whatever it's been. He hasn't even said nothing. I've called on him to read books, and he's just said no, shook his head no." And I was just so shy. You know, I didn't know how to be myself. I didn't understand people. I didn't have really feel like I had a voice to even open my mouth to even let out. You know, um, so there's a lot of emotions that or feelings that I have that I don't know where they came from, where they are going to end up. You know, because I'm definitely not one of those guys that go to the bar and drink a bunch of beers and try to hang out the guys and cause a big fight problem, or just nothing that's nothing typical guys would do. Like, I don't know how to explain it, macho or whatever kind of attitude. That's not just never really been that, but having parents that were divorced and seeing them with other people multiple times, sometimes I think about, like, where would I be if they didn't get divorced? You know, where would I end up? Would I still be in the same state I am now? Would I be in a different state? I wouldn't be at the same job. Wouldn't have the family I do now. And I don't think parents that get divorced really understand how it affects their kids. You know, um, I don't know if it even really affected me. I don't remember like breaking down or um, like they didn't even really talk about it. It wasn't even talked about. It was just I remember my mom and grandmother sitting me down one day and saying, your dad's leaving. We're gonna sell the house and we're gonna move into a townhouse with I think someone my mom knew that like cut her hair, so that person was gonna move in to help support the rent or mortgage or whatever it was at the time. But it's um it's definitely weird thinking about it because I never really thought about it. I just kind of rolled with the punches of people date, they get married, they divorce, their spouses pass away, and it just it happens to everybody, and it really doesn't. It doesn't happen to everybody, and some people have mom and dads that are together for 30, 40 years and they never split up, and so there's a different pain, if you can call it pain. I guess there's a different pain or something that comes along with it. So it's definitely an interesting thing that I think about now. So um I have some more videos coming out and some other stuff, but yeah, it's been hard to trust people, to open up, to let myself express who I am, naturally, without trying to like force it, um, and without being judged. A lot of people try to be themselves and they're judged by other people, and then that just kind of puts them back in that hermit hole of, well, I tried being me and that didn't work, so let me try to be somebody else, or let me not even just try to be myself at all. Just shut down and be quiet and go on without my day and not even talk to anybody. So, but that's my story, and it continues. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.